All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So, I generally talk about smaller stocks. I would love to talk about these bigger ones, to talk about like the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones. And, I'm just kind of I got to listen to my viewers and I got to listen to these YouTube algorithms, right? But I'm excited to talk about this one actually because I think it's almost a knowledge center video, all right? We're going to look at Tesla, SOFI, and Meta. And the connection between the three is earnings, okay? Tesla just had it and is now gone, what, 2, 4, 6, 7 trading days post earnings. SoFi is what, 3, 4 days post earnings, and then Meta is just hot off the presses, right? One thing I always say, okay, inclusive of these big blue chips like Tesla and Meta, inclusive of middle market potential big growers like SoFi, inclusive of silly little random penny stocks. Earnings is a scary thing to hold into. All right. I have seen the strongest technicals get completely destroyed because of bad earnings. I have seen horrible technicals completely wiped away and turned into beautiful uptrends from like earnings do crazy things in this like fake control world I have in this random chaos of gambling we call the stock market. You know what I mean? My goal is to kind of talk about just my earnings theory and really more than anything, it's the reaction afterwards. This looks normal to me. All right. SoFi does not look normal to me. Meta has earnings on top of all-time highs. So I'm really excited to kind of just look at these as a whole, you know what I mean, as an earnings specific thing, okay? So a little different than what we normally do, but end of the day, the exact same thing we do. And what are we going to do today? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can please subscribe to this channel, share this video online with your friends, comment good or bad, even if you disagree with all of this. I'm telling you, anything you can do helps me so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your very valuable time, I am so grateful for it all right? So I'm going to start on this by saying I was right, but when we get to SoFi, I'm going to be very loud about how wrong I was, okay? I'm not a braggy person if you watch my videos for the first time here, but I always say earnings is scary, and more than anything, earnings has a reaction that very much just continues to echo. It either just rides on up or it just avalanches down. Now, this one hasn't quite been an avalanche, but there were a lot of people that were starting to get excited these 3 days that we might fill the gap, we might go back to where it was, this and that. Look, when an earnings gaps down like this, my expectation is for it to continue down, all right? And yeah, what ended up happening is another phenomenon. Ooh, that was a little harder than it should have been. That happens with technical. So like, let's focus on this 8 moving average line, all right? When you lose this line, you come away from it, you come close to it. You come away from it, you come close to it. You come away from it, you come close to it. My theory is we're going to go back down away from it, all right? It's a beautiful line when you're over it because you go away and then you come back and then you go away and then you come back and then go away and then you just use it to bounce on up really nicely. When it flips on you and it becomes an enemy, you do what I just said, right? And to me, I didn't think this gap was going to fill because I didn't think we were going to get over the 8 moving average because I didn't think that the market liked the earnings based on this gap down. Now listen, did I look at the earnings? Did I listen to the earnings? Do I know the earnings? Do I know the last one compared? I don't know anything, all right? I'm a guy looking at these colorful lines and making technical thoughts, right? But what I do know is if the market liked it, it would have gapped up. If the market was indifferent to it, it maybe would have dojied or kind of stayed horizontal. If the market don't like it, the market's going to make it gap down. And I'm never here to argue with this, whether it goes up or down. I'm not here to say it was justified or not when it goes up. I'm not here to say if it was justified or not when it goes down. But when you gap down hard, again, any stock, I expect different. Again, when I look at SOFI, the complete opposite happened. It gapped up and it came down real hard, right? So like none of this is set in stone. But hey, listen, to me, this is the norm. That's the outlier, and I'm not here changing my strategy for an outlier, right? So I'm expecting Tesla to keep riding down the 8. I try to zoom out. Let's go to the weekly real quick. Do I have any lines down here? I do. Here's why I made that sigh. What I'm seeing is a really fast channel between this 196 line that I have and the one below it at 171. This is a lot of red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, green. I know Tesla doesn't seem like why am I struggling with words? A parabolic mover. But hey, I'm seeing a nice fast channel on the weekly. The problem kind of is it might be a fast channel down. I think I'm expecting 171 unless we can get over this 196 line. All right. Even getting a little bit over that 8, I don't think is going to do it. And I think you can argue maybe 192. I think 190, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to set an alert for that. 192 would be interesting. I think 196 would be safer. I'm expecting this to go to 171 unless the thing tells me anything otherwise, all right? Let's talk about the RSI before I go into the MACD and the volume. So one thing that, look, the RSI is supposed to go between 80 and 30. Generally, if you hit 80, you're a little overbought. If you hit 30, you're a little oversold. Clearly, the RSI on Tesla got as low as 6.92 before the earnings gap down. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Even big Tesla is subject to breaking the norm on the RSI. But one thing I know is an RSI can be really low, goes just a little bit up, only so that it could come back down a little bit. I'm actually ignoring this divergence on the RSI until we can get over like maybe 35. I think this is a little bit of a fake indicator, and I'm looking more at the 8 moving average, all right? From there, I mean, just look at this thing. All of January, basically through today, is really bad volume. Okay, and obviously the pain was bigger then. You can clearly say and see that there are way more green candles comparative to red as I zoom in, basically since what, the 16th? Yeah, since the middle-ish to late-ish gets a little bit better if I keep zooming in, right? I think from this view, it's even better to see. From, what day is this? From the 19th till today, I do see more green volume. I do. My issue is the 50-day average isn't getting broken, all right? Now, it's not bad that we're staying on it, but again, the average in a classroom is nothing more than a C student. I'm not asking you for a C+. You know, I guess no, I am. I'm asking you for a C+ or a B-, right? But like, I'm not asking you for a B+ or an A-, right? Like, just get me a little bit over the line, right? Like, you're not going to do amazing things unless you can get over that 50-day average, all right? The fact that there's more greens than reds is nice, but it's just not enough to make me believe, all right? Tesla on the daily, let's look at the weekly. Man, this is a bad weekly. because we're under all the moving averages on the weekly, you can see multiple death crosses happening. The 20 does a death cross on the 100. The 8 has now done a death cross on the 100, as well as what looks like, I mean, it's kissing the 50. It's gonna do a death cross come Monday, right? So, and again, death cross is a smaller one going below a bigger one, all right? So, real bad on the weekly, not good on the daily, not a lot of good is expected on Tesla, all right? And that makes sense to me coming off earnings. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. SOFI has just blown my mind a little bit, all right? Let me start. Sorry if I can start here. Sorry, I took a pause to think where I wanted to start right there. If you can please subscribe, if you can please share, it's a click of a button and it does wonders with the algorithms, all right? I always say that earnings is just this crazy, crazy gamble that you can't really understand what's going to happen the day of, but the days after should continue this thing gapped up. This thing was sitting just at, if not under, all 5 moving averages. Lo and behold, the earnings come and it gaps up, right? I expect the days after to just follow and continue up. Maybe go a little bit horizontal before going up, but this is shocking to me, all right? Now, I said it with Tesla. I'm going to say it with this one. I don't listen to earnings. I don't go deep into earnings. I skim headlines, right? But I know people are going to talk about the downgrade. I think the downgrade happened 2 days or 3 days after. I think it happened on one of these days, right? But I am shocked that this was the day after. I am shocked that we lost the entire candle and obviously even more after that, right? I bought on this day. I can't even pretend, right? I even think I said it proudly on the last video. I did. I bought expecting to go. And when the entire day was just eaten, man, it was just rough. The day after, when we ended up losing all 5 of the moving averages on a single day, look at it, right? We were above them all this day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We were below all 5 the day after. It was just the craziest. I had no idea reaction that again, to me, this is more of an outlier. There were a couple things that people said. It was really mainly one guy, and I think I might have flashed it on the dude. Can I find his comments? I think it was 50M is what I got. Now, boom, found it. Okay. SOFI had first net income. That was for sure what I focused on. I know I saw a lot of headlines on that. Easy to focus on. But the free cash flow and operating cash flow were still red to 250 million. That first net income was only 50 million. I think that's an interesting perspective of why this thing went down, why there was this worry that the news maybe wasn't as good as the realities. I don't know. Again, to me, this is an earnings outlier. I'm not here to change strategy. I'm for sure saying I was wrong, right? I ate a bigger loss on this than I thought I would, right? To me, this is an outlier. That's the biggest thing that I'm stressing. I am still shocked. Even come close of Friday, we're actually still below all 5 lines. I am shocked, and I don't know what to think here. I'll be really, really honest with you. And again, let's take a look at NASDAQ real quick. That's not too bad right there, is it? That's a good NASDAQ. Let's take a look at SPX. That's not a bad SPX. That's a good SPX. How is SOFI doing this after a gap up earning? I'm telling you, I don't know. I was wrong, and I'm sitting here pretty confused, but I'll tell you, I sold. I did. I had to. We lost all the moving average. Lose all 5 and die. I say that every video, right? I ate one here. It sucked. is what it is. It's an outlier, all right? I'm not changing the strategy. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Even if you disagree, I want to end here. All right, Meta. Yo, I will be real. I am young enough to remember this IPO and to have been in a position to have bought it. I had just kind of started my trading. I was focusing on these like dumb little weed stocks. I was a sophomoric little fool is what I was. I remember Facebook dropping to 18. Dude, I'm telling you, I was, look at this $475 stock later, right? It's hilarious. The reason I had this one though is I'm so sorry. If you can please subscribe and share, oh my, it would do such wonders for these algorithms, okay? This is the last of the earnings one, right? And the easiest difference to talk about Meta and the other ones before I even continue, let's just look at it on the monthly. We are in all-time highs, okay? I can't stress how all-time highs means, look, there's no resistance, and there's nowhere for me to draw a line and say, okay, I'm going to give you an educated opinion that I think it's going to stop here. I think it's going to, like, there's nothing for me. The only place I can draw anything is right here, and we're miles away from it. You know what I mean? So that's the simple, as much as I'm going to focus on the earnings here and talk about the earnings on the other two, this is in a different situation because it's gapped up into all-time highs, okay? SOFI, I didn't hit that O strong enough. SOFI just gapped up as well into from good earnings. And again, my thought was this was going to continue up and do well. I was very much wrong, all right? But I believe this is an outlier. I do, okay? TSLA had bad earnings that gapped it down. People had these like wild dreams that we were going to gap it up like it was easy and nothing because blah, whatever. No. We're going to keep going down with these lines because earnings just continues. You know what I mean? To me, I do believe this earnings is going to continue. It's hard for me to believe that we're not going to keep going into all-time high. Look, I don't want to compare this to NVIDIA, all right? But listen, I remember, let's go back because it's easy to forget, but this at one point was that same all-time highs line, right? Like, Jesus, I think it was 280 if I'm not mistaken. What's this number? 322. No, I still remember 280. Whatever. This 322, I'm going to go back to the monthly because, again, it's easier to see that the monthly. That 322 was an all-time high number not that long ago. We're sitting at 661. All-time highs is a crazy, crazy good thing, especially if you can start it by gapping up from good earnings on top of NASDAQ doing well, on top of S&P 500 doing well, on top of Dow Jones doing well, right? Like, what more can you expect? Again, am I going to call that an NVIDIA? I don't necessarily want to do that, right? Do I think Meta's going to prosper from being in all-time highs and running? I do. Now, listen to me. I started this by saying I was trading really dumb weed stocks for a reason, all right? This looks really expensive at 400 something. And I know, because I've been there, it looks way better to buy 100 shares of a $5 stock than it does to buy one share of a $500 stock. It's the same $500, and it's better to put your money in a better home than to buy a bunch of really bad properties that end up like getting you wet during the storm. All right, I hope that made sense. But yeah, I believe the earnings here is going to mimic Tesla just the complete opposite. I think the good is going to continue here, just like the bad is continuing there. And I am wildly shocked at what SoFi is doing. Hey, I enjoyed this one. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Thank you so much.